You think you know how strong you are, right? We all do. You've got this number in your head, this line in the sand that you call your best. But what if I told you that line, that whole story you tell yourself about what you're capable of, is a complete and total fabrication? Yeah, let's start tearing that lie apart piece by piece. You know, the big moments, the applause, crossing the finish line, we think that's where life happens. But it's not. The real you, your actual destiny, is forged in those quiet, brutal hours. It's built in the dark, when it's just you against your own doubts, and you have to make the choice to keep going. And that's the question I have for you, isn't it? When there's no one around to pat you on the back, when that deep, bone-weary fatigue sets in, and that little voice in your head whispers, "That's enough," what are you really building in those moments? We all do this. We create this convenient narrative about our own capabilities. We say things like, "Well, that's all I've got," as if our potential is some fixed amount in a gas tank. We say it to make ourselves feel better about not pushing harder, to give ourselves a little pat on the back for a good effort. But here's the truth. That story is a shield. It's a form of self-protection we use to avoid finding out what really happens when we go past that comfortable limit. It's a convenient fiction that keeps us from ever having to face the fire, and it's hovering miles, literally miles, above what you're actually made of. So, okay, how do we smash through this fiction? Well, it all starts with completely changing how we look at difficulty. We spend so much time and energy praying for our problems to just go away, but we are missing the entire point. You know, the author C.S. Lewis once asked himself this. He wondered, if every single one of his prayers for an easier life had been answered, where would he be? And he understood this deep, profound truth. Sometimes the greatest blessings we ever receive are our unanswered prayers. The storms we are forced to navigate make us captains. The calm seas we beg for, they just make us passengers. Just look at this contrast. It's so powerful. On one side, you have the common prayer, a plea to have the challenge removed. But on the right, you have a powerful question, a search for what can be revealed because of the challenge. That mindset shift, it's absolutely everything. You stop asking to be saved from the storm and start asking what treasure the storm is hiding. And this brings us to maybe the most crucial point of all. Your pain, your discomfort, it isn't something you should be avoiding. It is the literal raw material for your growth. Think about it. It's like a muscle. It has to be broken down, torn apart to grow back stronger. Our challenges are the very things that forge out resilience. Wishing them away is like asking to skip the gym but still get the results. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, so we know we need the hardship, we get it. But what happens when that hardship creates a fog so thick you can't see 2 feet in front of your face? When you have absolutely no idea if you're even moving in the right direction anymore. Let me tell you about Florence Chadwick. Back in 1952, she tried to swim the 26 miles from Catalina Island to the coast of California. For 15 grueling hours, she battled the cold, the exhaustion, but then this dense, disorienting fog rolled in and she couldn't see a thing. So exhausted and lost in the gray, she quit. Only to find out later she had stopped less than a single mile from her goal. And her own words tell you everything you need to know. It wasn't her body that gave out. It was her vision. The psychological weight of not being able to see the finish line was infinitely heavier than the physical pain. The fog beat her, not the ocean. So how do we fight our own fog? First, you just have to accept it. Stop trying to see the whole coastline. You can't. Second, You light your own lantern. You narrow your focus to only what's immediately in front of you. The next stroke, the next step, the next rep. That's all that matters. And third, you have to trust. You have to believe that these tiny illuminated steps will add up and eventually they will get you to the shore. And this whole process, moving through your own fog, one small step at a time, that's all part of the invisible work. It's the unseen battle that truly decides who you're going to become. I want you to picture a young Spartan, out training in the pre-dawn cold while everyone else is still asleep. There's no enemy on the horizon, there's no battle scheduled for that day. He wasn't training for a fight he could see. No, he was training for the invisible enemy, the one inside, the doubt, the fear, the hesitation that whispers, quit, or maybe tomorrow, when there's nobody there to call you out on it. That is the real battle, and it has to be won first. You know, winning that internal battle always requires sacrifice. It's a truth you see in every legend, like Shaquille O'Neal. His dream was to be an NBA champion. Well, the short-term cost was insane. Missed birthdays, missed family dinners, a life that was completely unbalanced. But look at the long-term legacy. That investment secured his family's future for generations. He understood the price, and he paid it. And that is the fundamental truth of any great achievement. It's not about what you can't have, it's about sequence. You aren't losing those moments in the short term, you are investing them. You're trading comfort today for a legacy tomorrow. Okay, so this brings us to our final and most critical idea. Once you've accepted the struggle, learned to navigate the fog, and decided the price is worth paying, there's only one thing left to do. You have to eliminate the possibility of retreat. The famous biographer Walter Isaacson, who wrote about geniuses like Elon Musk, said it best. He said that people like him write about the people building rockets, while people like Musk actually build the rockets. It's the difference between analyzing the risk from the safety of the sidelines and getting into the arena to actually embrace it. This is the conqueror's mindset. When Hernan Cortés landed in the New World, he gave his men one single terrifying order: burn the ships. Why would he do that? Because it made retreat completely impossible. The only way forward was through. See, when your safety net is gone, that's when you finally discover what you are truly capable of. So the ultimate lesson here is that playing it safe isn't safe at all. It might protect you from a big, spectacular failure, sure, but it absolutely guarantees you will never, ever achieve a spectacular success. It guarantees your story will never get past the first chapter. And at the end of the day, that is the choice this all comes down to. Are you going to be a spectator, analyzing and watching life from the stands? Or are you going to step into that arena, risk it all, and dare to create a life, to write your own story? Because in the end, failing on the path to something great, that's a wound that'll heal. But the regret of playing it so safe that you never even tried, that's a ghost that will haunt you for the rest of your life. The real tragedy is looking back at a life of comfort and wondering, just wondering, what could have been if you only had the courage to go all in? Listen, there is a threshold you cannot see, not until you cross it. There's a version of you that's living in the shadows of what could be. And you're only going to meet that person when you go farther than you have ever gone before. Why? Because the only way to find out how far you can go is to risk going too far. Now, you might not get what that means just yet, but trust me, you will. It's the simple, unspoken truth of every single mountain ever climbed and every challenge you've ever faced. It's the idea that carries you when your lungs are on fire and your legs feel like they're made of lead. It is the simple, powerful law of the climb. Okay, so let's really dive into that feeling. We all know it, right? That feeling of looking up at some impossible task, this overwhelming mountain that just feels endless. It's the weight of the entire journey pressing down on you before you've even taken a single step. And this isn't just a metaphor, this plays out in the real world. Take a run like Pinnacle Peak. You run up, then up another peak, down again, and then you have to turn around and do it all in reverse. And that third ascent, man, it is the steepest, it's the longest, your heart is pounding, you're totally exhausted, and the idea of another 20 minutes, it feels utterly impossible to even think about. But here's the thing, that overwhelming feeling, it's a lie. It's a total illusion created by looking at the entire struggle all at once. The secret isn't learning how to endure the whole mountain. It's about finding those hidden moments of relief, those precious moments of flat ground. Even during the most brutal part of the climb, there are these little, maybe 10-second stretches where the ground just flattens out. It's a tiny break, a gift. And trust me, 10 seconds is an eternity in that moment. It's just enough time to catch your breath, to reset your mind, to give yourself everything you need to keep going. And this right here, this is an absolutely crucial mental shift. You stop looking at the journey as one long, unbroken sentence of suffering. Instead, you realize it's just a series of sprints from one moment of relief to the next. Your only job is to make it to the next patch of flat ground. Think about it like this. Ultramarathoners, they don't fixate on the 100-mile finish line. That would absolutely crush them. No, they just focus on getting to the next aid station. That's their world. It's a place to breathe, regroup, recover. They take the impossible and they break it down into bite-sized chunks. And that's life, isn't it? It's not a 100-mile sentence. It's just a series of aid stations. So, once we understand how to endure, what's next? The next question is, how do we adapt? Because, life doesn't ask for permission before it completely rearranges everything you thought you knew. The people who win in the long run aren't always the strongest. They're the ones who can bend and shift with the chaos. I mean, this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've got two mindsets. On one side, Blockbuster. They clung to their old model, they were obsessed with control, and they became a memory. And then you have Netflix. They were constantly asking, wait, how is the world changing? And they moved with it. They rewarded flexibility. One became a relic, the other literally defined the future. See, the point is, you are not defined by your circumstances. You are defined by a response. But what happens when you hit a wall? I mean, a real wall. When you get to that point of just absolute failure. Picture it. You're doing push-ups, your arms are screaming, every muscle is shaking, and then they just give out. Boom. You hit the floor, the set's over, and man, it feels like the end. But right there, in that moment of collapse, that is where the real work begins. A trainer leans in and says, never just fall. That's quitting. Just think about that. Think about all the energy you spent to get to that beautiful moment of failure. You don't just throw that away. No, you fight until you physically cannot move. You fight all the way down. And that makes you ask a really powerful question. We see that collapse, that breakdown, as the end, a reason to just stop and reset. But what if that's the most important part of the whole process? What if the fall itself is the most important rep. Every setback carries the raw material for your greatest comeback, but only if you're willing to fight for it. So this brings us to our past failures, right? Our history. We have this tendency to let the things behind us define what's ahead. But that's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how life actually works. I want you to think of your past like the wake a boat leaves in the water. It's loud, it's messy, it's sprawling. It might even look like it's pushing the boat forward, but it has absolutely zero power. It's just a record, a footprint that's already dissolving into the water, proof that you've been moving. Your history is just an echo. It's not a compass. The wake doesn't drive the boat, the motor does. All the power is right here in the present moment. It's in your hand on the wheel, choosing your direction right now. The churn behind you has no say over the open water ahead. Okay, so let's tie all of these threads together. We've talked about breaking down the impossible, about adapting to chaos, about fighting through failure, and about steering our own course. So what does this all mean for you, for me, right now today? You know, it's funny, we spend so much time searching for some secret, some incredibly complex system to solve all our problems. We tear our lives apart looking for it. But the truth? It's usually simple, it's obvious, and it's been right in front of us the entire time. The keys have been hanging on the rack by the door. And really, this is the heart of it all. We get so overwhelmed by the sheer scale of a lifetime, of decades of work, but that is not where the battle is won. It's won in the seconds. If you can learn to master the seconds, if you can just focus on taking that next step, you can handle anything that comes your way. So when you boil it all down, it comes to this. The summit is never reached in one giant heroic leap. It's conquered one quiet step at a time. When you break that colossal goal down into manageable pieces, the next reprieve, the next aid station, the next single step, the impossible doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable. So I'm gonna leave you with this. Stop measuring yourself against the whole damn mountain. That perspective, it doesn't serve you. Instead, I want you to look right in front of you, right now. Where is your next patch of flat ground? Find it, run to it, and then find the next one. That is how extraordinary stories are written, one reprieve at a time. You know, there's a battle happening inside you every single day. Seriously, it's this fight between the person you are right now and the person you could be, that person you keep promising yourself you'll become tomorrow. But tomorrow is a trap, and today we're gonna figure out how to break free from it. Man, that quote just hits you, doesn't it? Because we all see tomorrow as this beacon of hope, a fresh start. But in reality, it's often the very thing that keeps our biggest dreams on hold forever. It just whispers in your ear, hey, you can start someday. And it completely robs you of the power that you have in this very moment. Okay, so if we know tomorrow is a trap, why do we keep walking right into it over and over again? Well, it's not about being lazy, not at all. The real answer is, it's deeper. It's in our psychology, and it all boils down to one incredibly powerful universal emotion: fear. And that's the big secret, right? Tomorrow isn't just a date on the calendar, it's a shield. It's this perfect escape hatch for anyone who's held back by fear, anyone who's resistant to change. It lets us avoid the messy, imperfect, kind of scary act of just starting. Right, so that fear creates what we can call the trap of tomorrow. It's this belief that we have to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the stars to align perfectly. But here's the honest truth. That perfect moment, it is never going to arrive. Does this sound familiar? As soon as I get that better camera, I'll start my YouTube channel. We tell ourselves these little lies, convincing ourselves that some expensive piece of gear is what's holding us back. But then the new camera shows up and it just sits there because you're still the same person in front of it. It's just a really convenient excuse to stay exactly where you are. Okay, this is a huge mindset shift. Starting imperfectly isn't a flaw, it's your origin story. Think about it for a second. We're all inspired by the entrepreneur who started in their garage with a beat-up laptop, right? We relate to the author who wrote their first novel on napkins. Your imperfections don't hold you back. They are the very thing that makes your journey authentic and real and compelling to other people. So the solution here isn't about finding a better calendar or waiting for that magical moment. It's about an internal shift. It's about fundamentally redrawing the entire map of reality that you've created for yourself. This is such a powerful way to think about it. We all live inside these invisible walls that are built from our own beliefs. People simply don't do things that stretch beyond their own perceived identity. I mean, if you don't truly believe you're capable of something, you will never ever take that first step. So the real question is, where have you placed your walls? And this shows you exactly how those walls are built, brick by brick with our own thoughts. You think, well, that's just the income I make. And boom, you stop looking for ways to grow it. You tell yourself, that's just how I am, and you slam the door on personal evolution. But what if? What if you started believing your value is limitless? What if you decided you can always be evolving? You know, the two most powerful words you can ever speak are I am. They can be a building block, a spotlight that shines on the parts of you that you want to grow. I am strong. I am focused. Or they can be a jail cell. I am not a morning person. I am not ready. Here's the thing. You will always act in a way that lines up with who you believe you are. Redrawing your reality isn't just about changing your future beliefs. It's also about reframing your past. You have to embrace everything, even the parts you really wish hadn't happened. And this brings us to this powerful Stoic idea, amor fati. It means love of fate. It's this radical idea that every single event in your life, good and bad, was a necessary piece of your journey. This was actually Stephen Colbert's response when he was asked if he really believes in loving the things he wished had never happened. And his point was this: just to exist is a gift. And existence comes with suffering. There's no escaping it. The lows are what give the highs their meaning. They're the bridges that lead us to exactly where we need to be. So if we accept our reality and we start breaking down our internal walls, what's next? Well, here's the crucial point. You have to shift your focus entirely. Stop looking for external solutions and start building internal value. Stop looking for the answers and start becoming the answer. To make this shift, you have to understand this key term, lagging indicators. We spend so much time chasing things like money, or a powerful network, or recognition. But those things, they aren't the real goal. They're lagging indicators. They are the result that only shows up after you've put in the work to become more valuable. You're chasing the effect, not focusing on the cause. This comes from a great story about a networking event. The whole message of the event was, you're one handshake away from changing your life. But the real insight was realizing that everyone in that room would be way better off spending those 4 hours at home working to become so ridiculously good at what they do that people simply can't ignore them. Then the handshakes will come to you. The legendary speaker Jim Rohn framed this perfectly. When you see something you want that feels out of reach, the problem isn't that it costs too much, it's that you can't afford it yet. So stop complaining about the price. Instead, focus all your energy on increasing your own value in the marketplace. Become the person who can afford it. That completely flips the script from victimhood to empowerment. And look, this isn't just some strategy for success. It's a responsibility. The great Charlie Munger called the acquisition of knowledge a moral duty. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to the world to not just sit on your gifts. You have to grow, you have to evolve, and you have to bring your unique value to life. Now, once you commit to this path of creating value, a whole new challenge pops up: protecting your focus. You have to understand that you are running your own race and nobody else's. I know it sounds random, but a simple game of axe throwing gives us the perfect analogy for this. In the final round, it's every person for themselves. A standard bullseye is worth 5 points, but there are 2 tiny little blue dots on the board that are worth 10. High risk, high reward. So here's what happened. The competitor went first, and on their first throw, nails one of the 10-point blue dots. The narrator, who had been consistently hitting 4s and 5s the whole game, completely panicked. He abandoned his winning strategy and spent all of his remaining throws chasing those high-risk blue dots. He missed every single one. He scored a 0. If he had just stuck to his own game, steady aim right up the middle, he would have won, easily. The lesson here is so clear. Your world is always going to be full of blue dots. Other people's flashy successes, their shortcuts, their lottery wins. It's all just noise. Your job is to ignore it. Trust your process, aim for your own bullseye, and win your race. That is the only finish line that matters. So we've come full circle. Tomorrow is a trap. Perfection is a total myth. Your imperfections are actually your strength. Your growth is your duty. And the only race that matters is your own. So the only question left is the one you have to answer. Not tomorrow, not in an hour, but right now. What will you start?